They trying to arrest anybody who says negative shit about them. Remember that group of annoying ass bitches in Australia that tried to get video games, like Steam, to get rid of video games because they were fucking bored? Well, they've been getting a little bit of pushback, and now they want gamers arrested. Big surprise, huh? Collective shout? Yes. Collective Karens.
You're a gamer. You play games.
Yep.
But what if a group of people decided that your hobby was a crime? What if they wanted to use police, even international police, to come after you just for disagreeing with them? That's not a joke. It's happening right now, and it's all thanks to a group called Collective Shout, who are trying to get anyone who stands against them arrested.
That's
Meet
right.
Collective Shout, an Australian group that
By the way, this won't work. The more that you get upset, the more that people will want to bully and attack you. This is something like I think that a lot of these people, like generally, I think that especially certain types of women on the internet assume that playing the victim will just get people to like defend them. And to a certain extent it will. But what I don't think that they understand is that it also means that you're bleeding. And if you can bleed, if it bleeds, we can kill it. As soon as people realize that they can get to you, and you show that it gets to you, you're done. You're cooked. Yep. Bully logic. Yep. Exactly. It's afraid. Yes.
They didn't like some of the games on platforms like Steam and itch.io.
Exactly.
So what did they do after Gaben wouldn't listen to their complaints? They went after the money. They sent a letter to major payment companies like PayPal and MasterCard demanding they stop working with these game stores. Their argument was that some of the games had extreme content, framing it as illegal and that it should be removed. The thing is, it worked. The payment companies gave in. They told the game stores
worked previously with other things too. Large groups of bored middle-aged women that have lingering resentment towards men because their husband doesn't like them anymore because they're fat are probably the greatest threat to Western society that we have right now. They're worse than Hamas. They're worse than Russia. They're worse than, any like African warlord. They're worse than MS-13. They are the prime evil.
Clean up their act, or they would lose service. The game platforms removed thousands of titles to make sure that they fell in line with these financial companies' rules.
Within.
This response not only hurt the players of these games, it also caused financial damage to real people, including the thousands of developers who spent countless hours on the art and game development.
Of course.
It wasn't only that though. One of PayPal's largest acquiring banks terminated its service with Steam in every currency other than 6. So now it's no longer just about adult games. Nearly every single person on the platform is now directly affected. Also, when a bank terminates its service with a merchant, they report it to the match list. We covered it in our previous video, but it's a secret confidential list that top banks and financial companies like MasterCard and Visa use to monitor risky merchants. Imagine it.
So why don't they just, can't you just use that as evidence for an antitrust lawsuit? And then just do this? Because in my opinion, like the big problem that I think we have with a lot of these people doing stuff like this is that they get away with it. That's the big issue. It's that they get away with it, and not only do they get away with it, but in the limited times that they don't, all they get is a fine. That's the problem. Not framing the game as illegal. The games are illegal in Australia. They wanted illegal games to not be sold in Australia. Well, that's up to Steam.
It as a big red flag or a warning telling other banks not to work
that's
with Valve.
The government.
Although the match list
that's the government's decision. It's not their decision.
Database is kept extremely private. The fact a bank has terminated service with Valve means they are highly likely to be on this blacklist.
They should make these blacklists illegal. It's obvious cartel behavior. Everybody knows it. They'll regret using their real names too. I think that they already have.
And Collective Shout couldn't stop talking about this situation. You'd think a group that got what it wanted would move on to bigger things.
Yeah.
But of course, this group doesn't actually care about protecting anyone other than removing content they don't like. To defend their actions, Collective Shout has been trying to paint these games as highly illegal to larger organizations that have little understanding of gaming, like a United Nations Special Rapporteur. A UN rapporteur are independent human rights experts who simply investigate and advise on issues. The fact that Collective Shout is trying to get
another Karen apparatus, by the way. It's like a Russian nesting doll of groups of Karens trying to stop people from doing things that they disagree with. What a pathetic state of things to be in, huh? What the fuck is a human rights expert? It's called a Karen. That's it.
On their side shows they're actively working to legitimize their claims to a wider non-gaming audience. And now they found a partner in a report from a group called the Online Hate Prevention Institute.
Of course.
This report, which sides with Collective Shout, is just saying why they think this censorship is so good and framing the pushback from gamers as a hateful, misogynistic campaign. But
be careful what you wish for, because you might actually, in fact, be right.
The most interesting part is when you reach the bottom conclusion. The Online Hate Prevention Institute has been shocked by both the extreme nature and volume of the content we have seen attacking Collective Shout.
I think this is going to be the big difference between like what happened in 2014 and what happened now, what's happening now, is that I think that a lot of the emotional manipulation doesn't work anymore. And what happens now is that I think a lot of people are like, if you want to be the victim, good, I'm going to make you the victim. Like that's the way that I think a lot of people on the internet think now. Whereas back in the Gamergate days, it was much more about winning the argument, explaining to people why they're wrong. I think that's changed. I think people are tired of playing nice, and that's why these people are getting harassed. People are fed up with giving into this bullshit. They are. Yeah, you want to be a victim? All right.
Who work there and those that serve on its board of directors.
Give them reason to cry wolf. Yep, definitely. No more talking, just action. Exactly. And I think also like there's no limiter for that either. Like once guys on the internet realize that they can do this and it works, oh, bro, then like it's just they're gonna go crazy.
The connect comes from accounts across multiple platforms. In some cases, new throwaway accounts have been created in an effort to anonymously post threats while trying to avoid any consequences.
Yeah.
These are serious cases of cyber harassment, and there needs to be government responses, including international cooperation between law.
People say, is Zelensky speaking? Is that true? Let me go back. I'm going to see if that's actually accurate. Because if it is, I will watch this. Now, it looks like it's not true. Yeah, I don't know where that came from. Yeah, I got confused.
Law enforcement agencies. Threats of death and rape are not free speech, not even in the United States, where some of the trolls clearly come from. We're not talking about your local police. We're talking about agencies that deal with serious international crimes. They're asking for help from organizations like Interpol. It's crucial to understand that Interpol isn't a police force that would directly arrest you.
No.
Instead, it's a network that communicates between different countries' police. It would allow an Australian police force, like the Australian Federal Police, to coordinate with agencies in other countries like the FBI in the US to track down and investigate people. So Collective Shout's allies want to use laws that were designed to fight cybercrime, like harassment, threats, and defamation, to go after gamers who simply just don't want their games.
Well, what they want to do is that they want to be able to create a self-appointed government apparatus that they're in control of, and they also don't want anybody to be able to push back against them. That's, I think, the big thing that's going on right now. Is that they want to be able to control and tell everybody else what to do, but they don't want anybody else to be able to say, shut up.
Censored and controlled by people who have never played a video game in their life.
That's what it is.
And while no one should accept threats of violence...
Well, even if they did play video games, it doesn't matter.
People have found that Collective Shout has been faking threats against themselves to gain sympathy and get donations. They genuinely think that if they just say the games are illegal and anyone who speaks up against them is misogynistic or a rapist, that it will just make everyone agree and listen to them. Remember, like Valve has said,
this isn't 2014 with Gamergate. Gamers at this point, and I think people on the internet, especially young guys, have no problem being the villains. If you're saying that you're getting bullied and you're getting harassed and it's scaring you, they're going to say good. The age of, again, and the reason why that's happened is because you have made any degree of productive conversation and reasonable discourse impossible. That's it. Good, maybe cry louder. Yeah, exactly. That's what's going to happen.
They were targeting were legal and fit inside their original
capitulation
policies.
is over. It's
so it
totally
genuinely
over.
seems like Collective Shout may actually start to work with police to pursue criminal charges against gamers. Collective Shout is straight
There's
up
people in Serbia that are doing this, people in China that are doing this, in Russia that are doing this. Nobody's going to get arrested over this. Maybe one person's going to get arrested. Otherwise, nothing's going to happen. You're not going to call the internet police and try to backtrace everybody on 4chan that's, harassing you on the internet. It's just not real.
Into a space that's not theirs, trying to control it, and they don't want anyone to speak up against it. They got cooked so hard they had to private their X account, which is most likely why they had to start begging for donations, as they were starting to look bad for their supporters.
That's
so let
right.
that all sink in. A group is trying to get international police involved. They want law enforcement to target people who oppose them. Although Collective Shout tries to act like the victims, this campaign has already directly affected thousands of developers, many of them small, independent creators who lost their income overnight. Luckily, Valve is on their side, but that still doesn't change the fact that their previous work
Valve isn't on their side. Valve is just simply doing what they need to do in order to make their business viable. I don't think they're really on anybody's side.
Removed. So Collective Shout is
they don't
directly
really care.
responsible for inflicting financial damage on thousands of people. Because Collective Shout is an Australian group, these developers could group together and file a class action lawsuit against them for economical damages.
Yeah,
Their
they should.
most
That
likely
would be
path
funny.
to a win would be in an Australian court, as US courts would have difficulty claiming jurisdiction over an Australian organizations for actions that launched overseas. This is just a thought for all the game developers who are affected, as these power-hungry people won't stop until they face consequences.
That's right. That's true. Then they'll never stop. Because, again, if they stop, then they lose their power. That's the reason why. So if they're never going to stop, they're never going to run out of things to complain about. There's always going to be something else that's worse. They will never stop because that's their entire life.
It also won't just stop here. According to MasterCard's rules, any game with non-consensual mutilation could be hit, and since Steam is now forced to follow their rules, this means nearly every top game could get removed. By not fighting back, we are allowing a small group to dictate what is acceptable for an entire global community.
That's correct. It's completely correct. And I think everybody should push back about this as much as possible. I mean, I don't advocate for harassment. This is my viewpoint is that I don't feel bad whenever these people get harassed, even if it's something that's really bad, because you shouldn't have done it. You should not have inserted yourself into other people's lives and tried to push them around and bully them around and then make them do what you want them to do. You should have never done it. If you didn't want this to happen, you shouldn't have stepped into the arena. Get out of the arena. Stop pushing people in different directions. That's the real problem.
Has signed an executive order that is meant to stop banks from debanking or denying financial services for political or reputational risk reasons. So if it is a lawful activity, they can't deny it, which is what's happening exactly here. While this executive order is a big step, it's not a full law just yet and won't help everyone around the world. Now, regardless of how long it takes, I wouldn't be surprised if Valve comes out with a solution so they no longer have to be dependent on these large financial companies.
That's probably what they're going to do. I mean, they're not stupid. I mean, they can see that this is obviously a problem, and the real solution for it will be creating a separate payment system to completely subvert that. So they attack us gamers, calling us ists and phobes while celebrating ruining our hobby, and then they get upset. And then whenever we get upset and then claim harassment, odd how that works. Well, that's the problem. And I think, again, people's goodwill towards these people is gone. Like, there's no goodwill left. There are only, like, the low road has been chosen, and gamers will meet you there. And so will the collective greater population of the internet. That's what's happened.
You support the developers, speak out against this kind of censorship, and whatever you do, don't let them win.
No, I don't think that anybody will. And that definitely won't happen. Imagine Elon stepping in with X payments to restore gaming. I mean, I think it's a big problem for everybody. And we're speaking in Russian right now. I see. Yeah, I'll probably watch like maybe a translated version of that later on. Probably not right now. Exactly perfectly said. Fuck them. Yeah, no, I think so. And this is just really what's been happening with a lot of with a lot of things, is that things get censored and they get changed. And I think people are just tired of having these very small interest groups that don't represent the actual population of people that are consuming this content, that are exercising their power in order to take people's stuff away from them. I just think that in general, nobody likes that. And so now they're getting harassed and they're getting bullied. And, you know, this is obviously not good, making threats at people, but you would have never had this happen if you didn't start trying to push people around. If you don't want people to push back, don't push them. Stop. And this is the big problem that I think these people have. And this is the same thing. Do you remember that girl the other day that was like making like all those negative, like, is her account still on private? Yeah, maybe her account's still on private. I have no idea. Yeah, her account's still on private. So you had no problem talking shit and saying negative stuff about me. But the moment that things turn around, well, now you're the victim. Now you're protected. Now you don't want anybody to have it. By the way, I'm not sorry about any of this, and I don't think anybody that's doing this stuff to collective shout is sorry either. I don't think that they care. They don't care about being right. They don't care about being on the, you know, moral side of it. They just care about creating a punishment situation that is so unpleasant for the people that are trying to bully them and push them around that it makes them not want to do it. And that's where we've arrived at. And we've arrived there because normal and reasonable conversation has been, it's been totally misrepresented as misogyny. Like, that's what happened with Gamergate. People had problems with the way that video game reviews were, and then suddenly they're being called, like, racists or something.